Carlos a deeper dive.
Like and subscribe.
Welcome back, guys. As I have my friend and co-host of the channel, Jim Parker, coming back for a deeper dive into Gator Nation, episode number 3. Jim, welcome back to the show.
Hey, it's good to be back, man, and it's a lot has happened since I've been on the show with you, man. They picked it up with recruiting a lot. 2 commits in the last 2 days. It's a good week to be a Gator.
Can you tell us a little more about the 2 commits? One, Kendall Gervil, and today's CJ Hester.
Yeah, so Gervil's commitment is extremely important because Florida has just been atrocious at recruiting the defensive line spot. They've missed out on Rodney Cleveland, James Johnson, Preston Carey, 3 high-rated guys, and then Jameer Perez, who's currently committed, seems like he's going to flip to Ohio State any day now. So getting Gervil is almost a restart at the position, and it's proven that they can recruit at that position at a high level. So that was a big deal to get him. And then CJ Hester, I mean, this has long been coming, it feels like. He's been predicted to go to UF for a while now. And it's just a nice icing on the cake.
And I just read a little bit ago that we have another commitment coming July 11th that needs to decide if he's going to go to Texas A&M, Florida. I forget the third school that's in the mix, but Hayes Foster just posted it.
Yeah, KJ Ford. So again, edge rusher is another position that Florida's been kind of like pulling teeth trying to get. You get Jaraylin McCoy to start out, and then the Trenton Henderson debacle happens where he's predicted to go to UF. Everyone thinks he's predicted to go to UF. LSU comes in at the last minute, and now he's a Tiger. And there's drama about that with NIL and everything. But KJ Ford, it seems like it's between Florida and Ohio State. Texas A&M is kind of that third school. And we'll see if the Gators can make a move there. They've got room now because Trenton Henderson moves on. It's a position of need. I hate to use the word desperate because it's July. Plenty of time until December, but it's a position that they need to fill, and KJ Ford is right up there top on their board. So maybe they can make a move there and get him. If they can't, Jake Krull from IMG, the 4-star, is still on the table too. So there's options at that position, but KJ Ford, that would be a big addition for Florida.
Yeah, I read an article yesterday that the fan base is kind of desperate because they're saying that we're not throwing money at 5 stars and 4 stars, and there was yesterday they were saying that maybe Florida needs to get desperate and start throwing the bag at these kids, because some of these kids, it's not like back in my day where it wasn't about money. It was, I want to go to the school because of academics and other factors.
Yeah, and it's not because Florida's broke. I can tell you that much. Florida's got money. It's about the allocating part of it. What a player is worth, how much you want to pay a player who's never played a down of college football before. And Florida is competitive when it comes to certain positions. It's just a matter of how much you want to allocate it and how much risk you're willing to take. Billy's a great recruiter. It's just Florida has their process with everything.
100%.
Some guys are willing to play along with Florida in their process. Some guys aren't. And that's just the risk and reward that you take having your process and, having the way that you like to run your NIL and now revenue share becoming a thing this month. So at the end of the day, you're going to miss out on recruits because of it. Florida's going to have to live and die with that. And I think they're okay with it. I think they're okay with not paying as much money as a rival for a 5-star, but getting a very good 4-star. Let's be honest, a very good 4-star and a low-end 5-star, there's not that much of a difference, and rankings will get updated and everything. Florida trusts their eval process, and if they like a 4-star, they're going to go after him. And so if you miss out on the Trenton Henderson Florida will be fine with that, knowing there's a Jake Poole ready to join the class. So it is what it is. You're going to miss out on recruits because of it, but as frustrating as it is, the staff, they don't care. They have their guys that they like, and they're going to go after.
So you would you consider Billy Napier a conservative recruiter in terms of he doesn't want to just throw money at the kids?
Yeah, in that sense, and I don't want to say conservative as in he's afraid to go after 5 stars, because he's not. I mean, Dallas Wilson is the prime example of that they are going to battle till the end for some guys. But he's conservative in the sense that Florida has their recruiting process. They have their evaluation process when it comes to recruits, and sometimes it can feel like pulling teeth because they like to make sure that they're right about something. They don't like to jump at the gun because of the ranking, right? They want to look at the film. They want to look at the fits. They want to look at the NIL and make sure that everything is perfect, and then they'll go get the guy. And so, again, sometimes that causes you to miss out on guys. But at the end of the day, they're still going to fight until signing day. And sometimes it works out for them. Dallas Wilson worked out for them. So, again, he's conservative in the sense that they have their evaluation process, and it's a lot longer than some other schools, but they can still be effective when it comes to recruiting. They can still get high-end guys. It's just they're not going to always get the number 1 player in the class. They can get the number 5 player, and that's still just as good in my opinion.
How many recruits do you think will land this month? Because he was on a hot streak, landing 12 in the month of June.
Yeah, so they already got 2, with the 2 in the last 2 days in Kendall Gorgel and CJ Hester. They have 2 that are committing on July 12th that I think are going to choose Florida. It's 4-star tight end Hezzy Kent and 4-star linebacker DQ Portcliffe. So you're talking about at least 4, it seems like, this month. And then KJ Ford announcing that he's going to commit on July 11th. Kind of maybe a 40-40-20 maybe with Florida and Ohio State meeting and Texas A&M kind of that third school. But he's also from Texas, so maybe Texas A&M makes a big jump with there too. So that one, it just kind of seems like it's anyone's ball game there. And then there's a couple that don't have commitment dates, but maybe they pulled the trigger in this month. And I'm looking at 4-star receiver Davian Gross, 4-star receiver Samori Wingo, and 4-star linebacker Malik Morris. And Morris, if I had to take a bet, he would be the one to commit this month. He's been long predicted to choose Florida. He's publicly had Florida as his number 1 school for as long as anybody. It's just a matter of when he's ready to announce that decision. And so as far as guys who don't have set dates, he's one I'm keeping an eye on. And then Davian Gross and Samori Wingo, it kind of seems like Florida's waiting for a decision from one before going to another. I don't think that they're going to take both. So we'll just have to wait and see with that. Wingo is a long predicting to choose Florida. Named Florida as a contender after his OV. Gross is kind of the opposite, where Florida came on late. They convinced him to come take a visit, blew him away, and now Florida's among his top schools. But Oklahoma is also in the running for him too. And so we'll have to wait and see with those 2. But I think 4 is the number that they'll get. Maybe 5 or 6 if a couple things go right for them. But you're going into the season with well over half of your class committed.
If it's 5 or 6, you're looking at 17 or 18.
Yeah, and you're done recruiting quarterback, you're done recruiting running back, you're done recruiting offensive line. If you get Hezzy Kent, you're done recruiting tight end. If you get both Forkfoot and Morris, you're pretty much done recruiting linebacker unless you still want Isaiah Williams. And you're in a strong spot with the defensive back. It's going to be edge rusher and D tackle until December. It's going to be difficult in those spots. It's going to be grueling. People are going to be pissed about it. Let's be honest. Let's not mince words. It's going to be a frustrating position to watch. But you're looking at every single position group, but those 2 either in a strong spot or done recruiting. And that's a heck of a lot better than where they were last year.
Do you think Florida can end up with the top 5 or top 3 school in terms of recruiting?
Top 5 will be more realistic. That's what they're shooting for. But they'll have to, again, when it gets to crunch time in late November, early December, they'll have to flip some guys to get there. I mean, Bodney Cleveland is one that comes to mind where I don't think that one's over, even though he's committed to Texas. I think Florida's going to make a push there all the way up until signing day. Sedarian Morgan, I think is. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think Florida's going to keep trying. I think if Florida's going to take 4 receivers in the class, they will take Sedarian Morgan. Alabama's going to be a tough flip, though. He's from Alabama, loves the Crimson Tide. Brian Williams last year kind of chose the example of 5-star true freshman will play and will be successful. And so, if they want to get a top 5 class, everything's going to have to go perfectly at the end of the summer. Meaning they're going to have to get a guy like KJ Ford in the class. They're going to have to get all the guys that they're predicted for, and then they're going to have to make some big high-profile flips. It's going to be tough, and it's going to come down to the wire, but they'll have a top 10 class. We'll have to see about that top 5. I don't think they'll be top 3. I think that's kind of out of the question, just because Florida isn't one of those, Oregon or Georgia types yet. Maybe they do in a couple of years, but I think top 5 is realistic if they can get some flips down the road.
What is it going to take in 2025 for Florida to be considered back by the national media and the fan base? Because according to people, if we go 8-4, Billy's gone.
I don't know about 8. I think 7-5. That's where the realistic conversation comes in about he's maybe not the right guy. Florida's got another grueling schedule, so I think it depends on who you beat and who you lose to, and how you kind of lose. Again, losses are losses, but close losses, at least you're competitive. They can't have early blowout losses again. I think 9-3 gets them into the playoffs. I truly do. If they beat, I think 2 losses. I think Georgia and LSU, because LSU's in Death Valley, will be the 2 tough ones. I think maybe they drop another one somewhere, but if they beat Miami on the road, if they beat A&M on the road, if they beat Texas at home, right? Like just looking at the schedule, 9-3 gets you into the playoff, depending on who else in the country loses. You don't have to win the SEC to make the playoff anymore. You don't even have to make the SEC championship game to make the playoff. You just have to beat the right teams at the right time, and I think that they get into that playoff conversation, they'll be back. If they reach their peak, which I think is 10-2, they'll be a top 15 team, borderline top 10 that people talk about. Because, 2 losses maybe isn't great necessarily, but you look at that schedule and you'll see that is a damn good football team. So I think 9-3 is the prediction for this year at this point. And I think that'll be enough to maybe sneak into the playoff and get you back in the conversation as a Florida's back and they're a contender.
Talking about the schedule and not having to basically win out, and Scott Strickland, I read an article earlier this week. He's thinking about eliminating some non-conference games because he says we don't need the non-conference games to get into the playoffs. Have you heard anything about that?
Well, the SEC has long been debating moving from 8 conference games to 9. And so that's been kind of where that conversation is how risk-reward. I think it could be good for Florida if they do that. The main thing is Florida,
because I'm scared he's gonna eliminate Florida State.
Well, that'll never happen. They will keep that game for as long as possible. I think it would just be they would eliminate one of the cupcake games to make room for another conference game. I think Florida is also kind of in a position where, because the conference schedule is so hard, I don't know if you'll see them schedule teams like Utah and Miami and USF anymore. I think that especially if they go to 9 conference games, you'll see the 2 be FSU and then the other one will be like an FCS opponent. Because what's the point of a hard non-conference game with your conference slate? And I think that you'll see the SEC move to 9 conference games. I think it's inevitable at this point. It's just a matter of when it'll happen. But I think FSU, they can never get rid of that rivalry. People will, I think people will lose their jobs if that happens, in a sense. I think there will be a revolution in Gainesville and Tallahassee if that happens. So, I think it's just they're moving more towards a 9-conference game, and then that 1 conference game left over, or non-conference game left over, that'll be an FCS opponent or a brand new FBS opponent or something like that, like a warm-up cupcake type deal.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. Does basketball, because of Todd Golden in his track record, and he's got proof that he can win the championship, and he's rebuilt and reloaded basically to win another one in 2025, 2026. Does basketball get more NIL money than football?
No, Florida's always going to be football's always going to be the king at Florida. They'll get the most NIL and the most revenue share, and that's just the way it is. And even Todd Golden admitted that, like that, they're not going to get as big of a piece, but they're still going to get a considerable piece. And I think championships bring money. They may not be the top dog, but they will get a lot of money for it. And if they somehow win the SEC again next year, and they make another run in the tournament, those investments and donations will only go up. They got almost $2 million in donations last year after winning the title.
Yes.
So there is considerable interest in the basketball program from an outsider's perspective with investment and NIL and donations and everything like that. But they'll never be the top dog, and they know that. I like what Golden does, where he doesn't try to fight it. He admits it, and he uses what he has effectively. And because he uses what he has effectively, more people get interested in it. So he plays with what he has, and he grows what he can. And it's pretty admirable of him, but basketball's never going to be the top dog at Florida. And that's just the way it is.
Do you think that 2025, 2026 basketball team is better on paper than the championship team?
I don't know, because the one thing with the championship team last year, all those guys played with each other the year before, except for Elijah Martin, and he was already on a Final Four team at FAU. Florida has they're going to have a new rotation next year. They have 3 new guys in the starting lineup, with Tommy Houck moving up, and then Boogie Fland and Xavier Lee. And I know that they're meshing well kind of now in the early part of camp and practice and whatnot, and they have good relationships, but we have to wait and see how they do when they step on the court together in an actual game. It's going to be a different team. So I don't know if you can say that they're better right now, because they've never played a game together and it's a new team. It's not like you're running it back with the same core but new guys to go with them. You have a brand new core with some similar pieces. So right now, by default, no. Can they be a title contender? Yes, absolutely. I think they have all the right pieces to be a title contender.
Do you know anything about what's going on with the revenue share? Because again, I heard Scott Strickland on a podcast already talking that the revenue share is going to kick in for 2025.
Yeah, so it went into effect. It goes into effect this week if it already hasn't, and I know the first checks go out essentially. Outside of that, I don't know how exactly all that works. I know because it's direct from the university and the NCAA, contracts will be enforced with student athletes. Florida has been preparing for that with their front office. They've got, I forget what his name is, Nick Polk. He used to work for the Falcons.
That's the general manager, isn't it?
Yeah, he's pretty much running that between contracts with revenue share, contracts with the coaching staff. He's doing all of the logistical stuff that Billy Napier doesn't want to do because he wants to be the head coach. So as far as the future of it, I don't know. But I know it went into effect this week, and I know that checks, if they haven't gone out yet, the payments are starting.
So that will affect NIL, won't it?
I don't know if it will, because hypothetically it should. But at the end of the day, NIL and revenue share are 2 separate entities. Revenue share comes directly from the NCAA and the school. NIL comes from boosters who want to pay. So it's legal, but think of it as that under the table money. It's the
I got
icing
you.
on the
Like back in the day.
It's the icing on the cake from the revenue share. So the revenue share will be your baseline, and then NIL will be the stuff that kind of gets you over the edge for some guys. So I don't think it'll go. I don't think it'll go away.
Put it under the table like back in the day.
Yeah, and
a legal way to put it under the table like back in the day.
Yeah, and I know some programs got rid of their NIL collectives, but Florida, just using Florida as an example, they put too much time and effort into their NIL collective. Florida Victorious, between the donations they got from basketball, and they hired Bree Wade from UF, who was helping out with their recruiting department. They've invested into their content creation with Nick Delatorre. Glad he's back, by the way. He had a bit of a health scare, so shout out to Nick. Glad he's healthy and he's back and doing good.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, great guy.
I got to reach out to him.
So good that he's doing well, but Florida Victorious is growing, right? If this was an NIL collective that was falling apart, it would make sense if Florida just moved to the revenue share and reset everything. But Florida Victorious is growing. They put too much energy into their relationship with UF that it's not going away anytime soon. It's just revenue share will be, your baseline contracts that kind of keeps a kid out of school because they'll be contractually obligated. NIL will be the extra sweet special stuff that just makes it a lot better to play for the Gators, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the interview with SEC Network, ESPN analyst. His name escapes my mind. He's got glasses. I can't think of his name right now.
Oh, Feinbaum?
Yes, thank you. Paul Feinbaum. He said that Manning's the best quarterback in college football. Disagree or agree? He doesn't even get it down.
It's off-season fodder because there's nothing else to talk about right now, and that's all it is. I think Arch Manning could be a really good quarterback. I think in his limited time at Texas, he showed that he could be a good quarterback. But to say that he's better than Tim Tebow it's a clickbait trying to get views. Let's call it what it is.
Okay.
Listen, I like Feinbaum, I don't want to prop myself up. And
I like him too. I watch him.
I don't want to prop myself up and say like, oh yeah, I'm a reporter, because I don't know Feinbaum. I've never met him. I've only ever been a fan of the show. But it's my opinion that I disagree with that. I don't think I don't like ranking quarterbacks that haven't really played yet.
I agree.
I wouldn't agree with calling Arch Manning the 16th best quarterback in the SEC, but I certainly wouldn't call him the best, right? We have to wait and see. So I completely disagree with that take, but I still think Arch Manning could be a good quarterback when it's all said and done. But to call him the best before he's really taken over as a starter is just I don't agree with that take at all. I don't.
How is baseball doing in terms of recruiting? Because I saw he's going crazy in the transfer portal.
They're adding a lot of guys, but they missed out on some top guys, if it makes sense. They rebuilt their pitching depth, at least with the bullpen. They've added a couple catchers because I know Luke Heyman he has eligibility to come back, but he's pretty much gone. Brody Donay, I think he's draft eligible, but he may be coming back. I'm not sure yet. But they don't really want him to play catcher. It's a DH thing for him and first base for him. But mostly DHing. So they added some catchers, added some pitchers. I believe they added a center fielder too, which is pretty good. They've made the pieces that they need, like the moves that they need to make as far as filling back up the positions that they're losing. We'll just have to see if they're the right decisions, because Florida has had either really good hits in the portal in baseball, or they've had guys who come in and it's just bad from the start. I think of Bobby Bozier, who was a great addition to the team last year. And then I think of Billy Barlow, who maybe should have never worn a Gator uniform. That was a really tough addition, and it didn't work out well. They've had the highs of the highs, and they've had the lows of the lows. So we'll have to wait and see.
Okay. How many spots do you believe that Billy Napier has left in the recruiting class for 2026? And what holes are we looking to fill, even though we kind of already spoke about the trenches? Is there any other specific holes that we need to fill?
Well, if all the guys commit you're supposed to, which, again, if they get Hezi Kent, if they get DQ Forkba, and they get Malik Morris, are the three that I'm specifically keeping an eye on. You're looking at, you maybe need to have one or two more edge rushers, one or two more defensive linemen, and one or two more defensive backs, specifically at the safety spot. They already have two corners now with CJ Hester and CJ Bronoff. So you would just need at least one more safety, probably two more interior defensive linemen, and one or two more edge rushers. And again, that's contingent on everyone who I think is going to commit if they do choose the Gators. The same thing at receiver, but I think that they're set up there too, where it's either Davian Gross or Samorian Wingo. You see what happens with one of those two guys, and then maybe you try to flip Sedarian Morgan down the road. But you're in a good spot there. It's going to be D-line, edge, and defensive back that we have to wait and see on.
And they're in play for a couple edges, if I'm not mistaken, like 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, KJ Ford and Jake Cruel are the two that kind of come to mind immediately. I don't know if they'll get both, but they're certainly capable of getting one. And that puts you in a good spot, maybe trying to get someone that we haven't even heard of. Or maybe even getting a flip target close in December. So they've got guys on the board. It's just a matter of getting over the hump with a couple of them. And we'll have to wait and see. But defensive tackle, edge, and defensive back, I think, are the main positions going into the season that it's going to take some time, but maybe they flip a couple guys.
I enjoy these episodes, Cam, very, very much. I appreciate it. Where can people find you and your work?
Yeah, so all of our work on Florida Gators on SI. We've been putting out recruiting articles and some off-season stuff, just waiting for the season to come up, man. I know SEC Media Day is next week. Spring camp, or fall camp, should be beginning sometime after, maybe last week of July, first week of August. And, you know, I can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel of the off season. It's been long. I'm ready for it to be over, but it'll be here before we know it.
We'll probably catch up towards the end of the month to see what's going on with recruiting, and we'll catch up during the season for sure. I appreciate you for coming on once more, and much love to you, and take care.
All right, sounds good, Carlos. Enjoy your 4th of July.
You too. Happy 4th of July, Gator Nation. Peace.